Excellent. So we started recording.
Yeah.
I hope it's okay with everybody. We started recording.
It's fine.
Yes,
thank you. Recording to the cloud.
Okay. So I was asking, I said, how is everyone feeling? How is the protest march? We want a new Nigeria. How is it at your end? Afolabi Daniel, our able moderator for the day. Okay, I'm hearing from you. Architect.
Yeah, well, it has been fine.
Okay, I think there is some interference. I'm wondering. Okay, we're speaking.
So just 1 million match. We are demanding for equity and justice.
Okay, so that's great.
Yes.
The turnout and the one voice, the unity with which our people, our youth especially, have been speaking, I think it's something we have to commend them for. Though for a whole lot of us who would have also loved to, even if it's just a day or two, to join them in the protest, but due to the fact that we don't own the company we work for, so we just have to take our own protest to Twitter. So we've as well been encouraging them as well. So on Facebook, on our social media platforms. So that I think personally for someone like me, so that's where I have been protesting. And
your voice is being heard.
One good thing about it is it has instilled the consciousness in our leaders that, you know, we are no longer having docile citizenry. So whenever you do things that people are no longer interested in, so we don't have to be carrying guns, woods all around, all in the name of protesting. So we have platforms that we can use to call their names. And like we also believe in the Yoruba parlance that a good name is better than whatsoever. You don't know how to put it now. So, but having good name is better. So because of this, so I guess also I believe it's going to make them sit up as well to their responsibilities and be accountable to the citizen.
Absolutely, the time is now. I mean, there's no better time than now. And in my own space, at least I did some bit of my own protest in the place of also, you know, because it's important we pray also for the nation, regardless of our religious affiliation. It's important that we pray also for the youth out there, speaking the voice of so many parents. I mean, our grown-ups, there are some of these things they had wanted to say it long ago, but it's like these youths now are the voice of those generations that were unable to speak out. So that's just the way I do. So we need to also pray that these protests will not be turned to you know, a platform for bloodshed and waste of human life. So that's the bit from my end. So it's good to catch up on that. So good evening, everybody. I hope we sent reminder to the group. Okay, I see. Yes, we have you, our able moderator here. But before I hand over to you, let me just say hi to everyone. Chi Eke, she's been very consistent. She's been very consistent. When I say consistent, please, do you want to say hi to us? Chi, how are you doing? Hello, Chi. Cynthia. That's Cynthia. Okay, you're no longer the newest mom on the block anymore. Someone just kept that also on the book club. So how is motherhood? I'm just trying to do a bit of, you know, catch up and then see if we have reminder on the group so that we can get people to quickly come on board. Kate Bishop, hi, how are you? Everybody is quiet. Oh, great. Good evening.
Yeah,
Cynthia, yes, I can. Cynthia, I can't hear you. Okay, let's see. How are you doing, Kate Bishop? And I hope I sound the name right. Efionwa. Did I sound that correctly? How are you doing? Feikemi, how are you doing too? Ogochukwu, our facilitator for the day. So without much talk, without much to say, let me just kick off. Just a moment, please. Okay, so just so that we kick off. So my name is Ifeoluwa Esther Afemi, and I kicked off this platform, but I would like to say that we are all responsible for how well we do on this book club platform. Thanks for joining today's session, and we've had quite a number of sessions before today. For those who are not on the platform, and maybe those who really also joined us on the platform, this might be new info for you. You can ask any of the group moderator to send to you those the PDF version of the books that we have read in time past. So we are more about supporting ourselves. We call the book club like a continuous learning platform where like-minded professionals with whom we all can share, learn, and then we can even get coaching opportunity even while on the group, or maybe for people who are in your field or line of expertise. Maybe there are things you also want to learn from them, or you want to also, some tidbits or some sharings between ourselves. So it's also a platform that offers such opportunity. It also is that we are an avenue also to discuss relevant book titles that is related to business and leadership. And it is our hope that everyone would read, come to a session as this and discuss and find real life application, and as well get to their workplace, say on Monday, and put to use the learning. So that's one of our objectives. It is important to everything we do on this platform. We also call ourselves like a support group kind of a thing, like a support system where a lot of us love to read books, but kind of life happens, work, family, other engagements, and things taking up our time in our individual life and such. So that's why when we come to a session as this, so what do? We ensure that we help each other to achieve or meet our reading goals. So all of us have reading goals, it's an extent. And since the start of the year, I think we've been smashing our reading goals. So without taking much of your time, except you have questions for me or need for clarification, I would like to hand over to our able moderator for today, that's Olaoluwa. I like Olaoluwa Daniel Afolabi. So you have the floor now, Daniel. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ma, and good evening once again, everybody. Let me first start by appreciating the host and everybody for having me moderate this section this evening. And as well, I think at this point, it won't be out of place to appreciate the effort Madam Ifeobafemi has been putting in place. We just have to be true to ourselves to accept the fact that it's not easy having to juggle our individual jobs, family, and even some other external group or affairs that we are responsible to, and still have the heart to always host this section. For those of us who have been in one leadership role or the other, in any capacity of bringing people together, so we would know it's actually a sacrifice. So we really appreciate you for this. And one thing I've come to understand about life is, our life alone shouldn't be the reason for our existence. Then if that is it, then I don't think we as individuals are really living our lives to the fullest. So we appreciate you for this. without wasting much of our time, so I'm not the one facilitating this session, so we just have to kickstart as we expect others to. So, and I've tried to send a reminder to the group, so I think we can as well still follow up on others who we know we are yet to see, especially those who are our friends, and we know we have a way of reaching out to them so that we can as well all enjoy the learnings that we can get from this evening section. So without much ado, the book we are reviewing today is titled The Genius of Opposites. And the facilitator for this evening session is Madam, let me use the word Mrs. Ogochukwu Onzurike. Apologies if I didn't pronounce that correctly. So I don't know if I can be allowed to share my screen so that we can just give a brief profile on who our facilitator is.
Please go ahead, snatch the screen, or okay, we would need some access. So I can just quickly do that. Daniel, how come I can't see you in the, okay, I've seen you. You're a co-host, so I think you have the access.
Okay.
You have the access, please go ahead.
Okay. Seems I can't. Okay. Okay, so can we see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So our facilitator tonight is Mrs. Ogochukwu Uzurike. So she is currently the business development manager, microtransaction and local markets at InterSwitch Group. So we all know InterSwitch Group is a payment technological providing company. So she, like I said, she heads the business development unit. She holds BSc in mass communication from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, a multiple award-winning business and sales professional with extensive experience in retail, wholesale distributor management, and most recently, payments and technology. Ogochukwu's career spanned over 9 years, that's close to a decade now, with major blue chip companies in Nigeria, FMCG, such as the GSK, Consumer Nigerian PLC. She has as well worked at Philip Morris International, and presently she is with the InterSwitch Group. She is happily married with son. So that's a brief profile on who our facilitator is. So Mrs. Ogochukwu, we are so excited to have you facilitate this section and to learn from you as well. So as we believe that every one of us will be following, will take note as well, and we'll be looking forward to have this section as engaging as possible. So for those of us who have read the book, or even if we couldn't finish it, at least there are some learnings that we all can garner from each other. So I want to encourage us that we go through the section together, and we need to pen down our contribution so we can as well do this ahead of time. So without much ado, Madam Ogochukwu, so it's time to have you. So you are welcome.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mrs. Esther. Good evening. I have such a huge smile on my face. It's interesting when they're reading your profile. Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you, Mrs. Esther. Thank you, everyone, for taking out time to join us tonight. To share your learnings and my learnings and share all we have gotten from this book. I'd like to take a moment to thank Mrs. Esther for the opportunity. Our relationship is an interesting one, a very digital one. you know, things that it's a relationship that that started on social media, and she has always looked out for me, always looked out for me. So I want to take a moment to appreciate her. I'd like to also thank everyone for taking out their time to join us on today's session. I'm hoping that we would learn so much. If you've read the book, The Genius of Opposites, it's an interesting one. If you haven't read the book, it's fine. We all meet introverts and extroverts in our daily life, and this book explores how that personality dynamics plays out in the workplace, and how we can better harness the opportunities and the genius of each side. So whichever personality you find yourself or your core team, you can work together and bring out the best for your organization. So I'd like to start sharing my screen now. Okay, I can see that I have the access to do that. So give me 1 second, please.
Okay. Sorry to cut you. So I was almost saying, if you wouldn't mind, so at least we would like to see your face as well. Since you know you are the one talking now, so we would like to put a face to you to know who.
Our speaker's face.
Oh my goodness, I didn't prepare for that.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, please oblige me.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Let me. Okay, please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm trying to put it on slide mode so that it can come out. Okay, great. All right, so once again, everybody, good evening. Welcome to this session of this book review. The book we are reviewing today is titled The Genius of Opposites by Dr. Jennifer Kahnweiler. An interesting thing happened today when Mrs. Esther put up this post notifying people on LinkedIn that we were going to be reviewing this book. The author actually commented on her post. So we should be on the lookout. She might just join this Zoom call. She actually commented on the post and was really excited that we are looking at her book. So the book is titled The Genius of Opposites, How Introverts and Extroverts Achieve Extraordinary Results Together. A little bit about the author. Like I said, this book was written by Jennifer B. Kahnweiler. She's a doctor, an author, a global speaker, as well as a thought leader. She's hailed as a champion for introverts. She has also written other books such as The Introverted Leader, Building on Your Quiet Strength and Quiet Influence, The Extrovert's Guide to Making a Difference. These are the books that she has written. So you kind of see that she's an authority when it comes to matters associated with introverts. Even reading the book, it will come across to you strongly that she's an introvert who is quite self-aware and has harnessed the power and the genius of being an introvert. And through her coaching experience, she has coached a lot of people on both sides of the line and comes out with this great body of work, if you ask me. So this book is for introverts and extroverts working in organizations who are in partnerships within and outside their diverse organizations. It's not only for the internal relationships. You also think of your personality and how it comes across to your customers, your suppliers, and your strategic partnerships. If you're a coach or a trainer or a manager, a leader of teams, who wants to bring out the best, not just in your team or in your employees and your team members, you need to understand the people that you coach and the different personalities and how it comes into play. This is a good book for you to read, even if I say so myself. So the book has it is 3 parts. There's the basics, there's the steps, and the results. So tonight, if you've read the book, good for you. If you've not read the book, like I said, good for you. But this is our rule. These are our rules of engagement. Yeah. So I'd like us to take one moment and just drop in the comment section if you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert. So just for one moment, type of course, your name already comes across. So just type and say, oh, I consider myself an introvert, or I consider myself an extrovert, because I really want this to be an engaging and interactive session. If you've read the book, your perspective will be great, to what you think. If you've not read the book, we can share our real life experiences. Like Mrs. Esther said when she was making a comment, the whole purpose of reading and this book club is to apply the learnings. How does it apply to us in real life, and in our workplaces and all that? So please take a moment. I can see the comment section.
I can read it out to you.
Okay.
Yes. It seems like I'm the only one who have typed, so we're waiting for others. All right. So there are perspective. For me, I think I'm an introvert who knows how to be an extrovert.
Interesting.
So that's my perspective.
Interesting.
From Dominic, what we have here is, he said is extrovert 70%.
Okay.
Cynthia says extrovert. Kate Bishop says an extrovert. Harriet, introvert.
Wow.
Yesterday Ismail says extrovert, but circumstances can make me to be an introvert for some time. Chi Eke says introvert. Falabi Daniel, introvert. Don't tell me, I know. could be extrovert amidst friends. Okay, good. So that's
That's interesting. Okay, so it's good. I think we have more extroverts on the call than introverts. This is going to be interesting. At the end of every chapter, I would like to hear the perspective. There are questions, and I would like to hear the perspective of an introvert or an extrovert. So be ready. So when the question comes, we'll pick one of the introverts and say, okay, how do you see? Let's really see how different we really are. Please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. I really don't mind if you stop to ask questions and clarify. I don't mind that when I'm presenting. So keep it coming. If you're just joining, please tell us whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, and we'll get going, right? But just before we go into chapter 1, I'd like us to think of if you have identified yourself as an introvert or an extrovert, I'd like you to think of a working relationship that you have with an opposite, right? So think of one person that you work with or you currently have, you interface with, that is either an opposite, so to speak. So if you're an introvert, think of a work relationship that you currently have, especially for those of us that did not have the opportunity to read the book, so that when we are talking about it and making examples, you can easily relate. So chapter 1, the author comes up with this concept. Chapter 1 is titled, Who Are These Unlikely Duos? Who are these unlikely opposites, these extremes? I mean, this picture totally captures the relationship between an extrovert, full energy, fully charged, always hyper, and then an introvert that we tend to look and be like, these people have zero energy. They are always like on the chilled side. So she starts to explore this book about the genius of opposites, exploring these two sides. And if you're looking at it from an ephemeral point of view, you're likely to say, who are these unlikely duos? And she now introduces the concept of genius opposites. So what for her is the concept of genius opposites. Now, genius opposites are partnerships made up of introverts and extroverts in all types of combination. So it could be a line manager and a direct report relationship. It could be a customer and a customer and a team-facing relationship. So is it a manager and his admin staff or whatever? So these are the possible opposites or possible relationships that you can have. It could be an executive and his admin. It could be the sales team and the marketing team. It could be the marketing team and the factory. I know a lot of us here come from FMCG background. So in whatever relationship you find yourself, any relationship that is made up of introverts and extroverts in any type of combination, this is called a genius opposite. Now, these teams have a powerful, unique chemistry and achieve outcomes that they could never achieve alone. But to get to this point, it takes a lot of work to succeed, and the magic rises from their differences, not in their ability to try to confirm or be each other's best or be a version of each other, but their best work comes out when they are opposite. Even though their styles are divergent, the results of their collaboration look like they come from a single mind. Their relationships are most successful when they stop focusing on their differences and use the approaches that move them forward. Now, we have this general saying, this general saying that people talk about, say, opposites attract, opposites work well. But in real life, we know that being opposites also comes with a lot of friction. It comes with a lot of miscommunication. It comes with a lot of misunderstanding. Okay. But the critical thing here is, even if we identify ourselves as opposites, we must realize that for the concept of genius opposite to materialize, you need to understand, just like a marriage, you need to put in the work. For you to succeed, you need to put in the work, and the magic comes from your differences. But first of all, before we even say opposites attract, the concept of genius opposites, let's even understand who are introverts, who are extroverts. How do you make sure that you are defining introverts and extroverts accurately? So this table sort of gives us characteristics or or basic characteristic of introverts and extroverts. So for the introverts in the house, I'm sure you can identify a lot of things in yourself on the table to your left, I imagine. You get your energy from within. You always want to spend time alone. You prefer quiet spaces and private spaces. Introverts like to, according to the author, they like to handle projects individually, one-on-one or in small groups. Large groups tend to face them, and they get quite agitated when they have to deal with a lot of people. They also need time and space to process their thoughts. Introverts are generally private people. They are private. They don't put out their stuff out there. Extroverts, on the other hand, are the exact opposite, right? They get their energy from the outside world. They thrive on being among people. The more, the merrier. In fact, the bigger the party, the better it is. They form their ideas as they speak. They don't. It's an interesting word, because you hear an extrovert speak, you're looking at the confidence with which this person is speaking, but you have
Exactly. They're just forming the words and everything, just right on the go.
They can win any situation. And then the introverts are looking at them and being like, how is this person processing what this person is saying? As in, how are these words coming out of your mouth? And it gets really frustrating for the introverts, who tend to take time to process things and before they give an opinion. So just to the right point, extroverts are impatient with their introvert partners to finish their thinking. They can't get it. Just say what it is you have to say. Let's move on from here. And they're also an open book. You meet them, you can pretty much tell who they are. But it's important that we understand the wiring of introverts and extroverts. So I think the first port of call here is self-awareness. While she's talking about the genius of opposite, while I was reading the book, the first thing that struck me is, who am I? Before I even try to understand the next person, who am I? It's a call to self-awareness, to say that I think aloud as I'm talking, I try being with people. You need to understand yourself, be self-aware, and be like, this is what gets my energy right, and this is what gets my energy in the wrong place or wanes my energy. We need to understand the wiring. And once you understand your own wiring, you can now take time to understand the wiring of your stakeholders. Remember, we defined the genius concept of genius relationship as any relationship. So imagine if you're an introvert and your boss is an extrovert. It behoves on you not just to study yourself and understand your own personality. It's also pertinent that you study your boss, study your line manager, study your client, and understand their own personality and adapt to suit to them. We'll come to that the later part of the book. But here, it's you have to figure it out. So the author says it's important that we figure it out, that collaborate and understand that we are wired differently. Once you understand that you are wired differently, it enhances productivity, it enhances collaboration, it enhances some kind of mutual respect and understanding, a lack of which can result to inefficiencies, low productivity, and frustration. So it's time for our first Q&A. This is chapter 1, and this is a question for an introvert. So Mrs. Esther, please help me identify one of the introverts. And this is the first question, or Afolabi, please. It says, give a brief description of an unlikely duo example that you work with. So you're an introvert. Can you tell us of a working relationship that you have, maybe with an extrovert, or any unlikely duo example? But this is a question for an introvert.
Daniel?
Okay, all right. So I could remember when I was still with the operations team in my company. I work for Dun & Bradstreet. So there was a particular lady who everybody knows she's an extrovert, and there are times whereby we would have calls. Maybe someone is celebrating birthday, and the euphoria that we are going to eat cake, we are going to snap pictures. You will see how she will be jumping from one table to the other. A lady in her mid-30s, for that matter, she will be, and in a bid to get everybody in that euphoria, if she discovers that maybe one of our colleagues was still on the table and was not ready to join in the spirit, joining her in that euphoric spirit, in a way it dampens our feelings at times. So, and many times it gets us wondering, how is this person wired this way? And but for someone who understands individual personality, so we just try to understand that that's our own way of life. But one thing I discovered about the relationship working with her is that whenever she is not in that mood, but probably because of external energy that she expects that she is going to get from other people, whenever she doesn't get that, so it affects our productivity. So you might have to ask her, so okay, so this, I don't want to mention, okay, Mabel is her name, so how about these application that has been charged, that you have been charged with in order to process, and she might tell you she has not done it, just probably because of how she has been down, probably as a result of the positive energy she expects to get from people around her that she has been unable to get. So I think what we are considering presently is something practical that we all can as well relate with. So that's that's one experience I can share at the moment about working with an extrovert.
That's really interesting, and thank you, Daniel. The author talks about it a little further down in the book, how energies can affect the people that we work with, how the low energy of an introvert, or how energies affect the people that we work with. And the example that you have given is quite, I mean, it's a vivid life example. So I never really considered it, you know, see how, I mean, this example is, when I read it in the book, I was like, okay, but you really put life to it and all that. So thank you for that. So we'll just go straight into chapter 2. And the topic is how to mix oil and water, the genius of opposite process and quiz. Now in the book, in this chapter, she does a list of processes and, you know, how do you mix? We have identified that introverts are so different from extroverts. We have, it's like night and day, right? So how do you mix oil and water? How do you say that people that like to shut down and understand themselves should work with people that talk as they're thinking it, they're saying it? How do you mix that oil and water? And one thing that struck me when I was reading this book is how we do not really consider the people that we're going to work with in our work environment. Not because we don't want to consider them, but you go into a new team, you're joining a new company, you're joining a new organization, you don't really know the people you're going to be working with, right? We do not have the choice. We do not have that choice to pick people and say, oh, because I'm an introvert, bring all the introverts in the company, let them sit with me. We do not have that choice. And work is especially if you begin to climb the ladder, your strengths, your technical skills, and your technical capabilities are not as important as how you can work with people, how you can, if you're a manager, how you can build high-performing things and stuff like that. So how do we really mix oil and water? We do not have a choice as to who HR is going to send as our manager. We do not have a choice as to who will be our team members, unless you're a manager and you're given the free rein to pick the people that you want. So according to Dr. Jennifer, to achieve the genius opposites, the first step is to look into the mirror, right? As tempting as it is, you might want to look at other people and say, oh, they are the problem. They don't process things fast. They like their own space and all of that. But as tempting as it is to fix other people, the first step to achieve genius opposites, especially if you're working in teams, is to look in the mirror. If you're a manager, you look into if you have a team that you're managing, look into the mirror. If you have team members, I mean, you have people in your team, in your department, in your unit, and you think that other people are the problem, the first step, according to Dr. Jennifer, is to look into the mirror. Take stock of how you see the dynamics of your partnership is playing. How is it playing out? What is working? What needs adjusting from your own perspective? Remember that your perspective is yours, right? The next person may have a different view, may have a different opinion, but do an honest assessment by yourself and see if you can, and take stock of how you feel this relationship was working or what you feel can be adjusted. And then ideally, if your partner or your opposite or the team member that you're working with is willing to take an honest assessment, then the better. And then you guys can now sit down together, take the quiz, and feel this motivation, like move to the next level of genius performance. So if you have a team member that is willing to go through this process with you, that's fine, that's good. But if you do not have a team member, or maybe you are working with a boss that is an exact opposite, I don't imagine him wanting to sit down and do this process with you. But you can take the quiz. You cannot change other people, but you can change yourself. So at this point, the quiz is in the book. It's a long list of laundry questions, and you're supposed to score yourself and get your rating, whether you are determined as strong, whether you are adept as managing opposites, or you are moderate, or there are lots of room for improvement. So there's a scoring range, and you score yourself. So for those of us that have not read the book, after this discussion, I would advise that you just go take the quiz. It helps with self-awareness. And I feel like people that are better or more self-aware tend to I don't know how to explain it, but if you're more self-aware, you're more empathic, you're aware of your
and
own
they're
feelings.
better leaders too.
Absolutely. They're better leaders because you are self-aware. You understand that you're not the best thing that happens in sliced bread. So when people make mistakes and you are accommodating and you're more empathic to your team members. So I would encourage us to go back and take the quiz. But in chapter 2, the author now introduces the process, right? And the whole concept of the process of getting to that extraordinary result where the two opposites begin to move to high performance team. So the first step of this process, she just introduces it in this chapter. She doesn't really talk too much about it, so I'll just follow that same process. So the first step is to accept the alien. The second step is to bring on the battles. It talks a little bit about conflict. The third step is to cast the character. The fourth step is to destroy the dislike. And then the last step is the fact that each cannot offer everything. If you're able to go through this process and think through it every time you are working with an opposite, trust me, according to the author, this team should be a high-performing.
So there's a question for you already. Since you said you would like to be interrupted if you don't mind, rather. Oyelere is saying, so who works more with people, introvert or extrovert? And who is generally more of a people's person amongst the two?
Yes. I think I'll throw it back to the house. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let's discuss a bit. What do you guys think? Who is a better team player? Who is a better? Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, Harriet. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Oh God. Good evening, everyone. Yes, for me, I feel let me talk for myself. We can't actually say there is a better person to work with. I think everything depends on understanding and how much you are willing to accept the other person's character and tolerate and try and understand them. So if you understand them, even if they are introverts or extroverts, you will definitely be able to carry on with them, because you can meet, these are two different sets of people, and you meet any one of them at the workplace. You can't meet just introverts all alone or meet all extroverts. And mind you, these two people have their lows and their highs. They are the pros of the introverts and they are the cons of the extroverts. So I think we need to be able to work with both of them. So if there's understanding, you can work and you can achieve better results with them. I just think it's basically understanding for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harriet. Does anybody have an opposing notion to say, Harriet? No. From my life experiences, no. I have more. I feel like Oyelere already has a position. I don't think that question was a question.
I think so too. I think so too. So just while Harriet was speaking, so something occurred to me.
What makes you think? What makes you think so? No. Because so the thing is, the reason why I said that who works more with people. If you look at introverts and extroverts generally, you say working with people, maybe something like somebody who brings energy to the room, people that they don't seem to have a down moment, they are always on top and all the rest. So for me, if generally look at, see somebody hailing another person, giving somebody high five, somehow to have friends, you need to be friendly. And I don't think introverts are as friendly as extroverts. Yes, maybe they listen, but it's neither here or there, but it's just a thought running through my mind that okay, in organization, because I remember when I started working in an organization and the consultant was invited to do a training, and it was mentioned that they wanted to choose the managing director between two directors, and then eventually who they went for was the person who was more of a people's person. And they asked the question, who interacts more with people in the canteen? Who will you see discussing with someone? That they felt the reason why they didn't choose the second person, of course, they didn't say introvert or extrovert, but they just said they would prefer somebody who is the people's person. In the organization, you always have some people, they are more of the people's person. Someone enters a place, they be like, guys, what is happening now? I beg, make I pick. I see somebody eating, make I pick something. Just not that he wants to eat the food or something, but someone just happy-go-lucky sort of, that's what they term in that place as a people's person, that this guy is always around people, relates more with people. Introvert, yes, but is it possible to be an introvert and still yet be a people's person? Maybe that is the question. Someone.
Okay.
Is it a possibility?
Okay. I'd like Mrs. Esther to go. She was saying something. Let's see if she has the answer to your question before I'll call on the introverts in the house.
Yeah, Larry's question, we'll still leave it as a question. I was going to, I did a quick reflection based on your question, which still based, I think, was on Larry's question, then the input from what you had said earlier, and how I'm thinking, who works best with people, or who is better to have in a team. Sometimes we would even want to show some preference, say, I like introvert because they're like an open book. I want to be able to tell what's going on in people's mind. Just from their mien, you can tell that this person is dissatisfied. And then you can quickly take maybe action or ask for the question to clarify the situation. But an introvert will take days. They will never even show it. They will just take it in, and they seem to be more like people who can take anything. That's the introverts. You just say that they have a thick skin kind of a thing, but they might be hurting. They might also not be pleased with the maybe work situation or certain decisions that are being taken, but yet they're not able to voice out. In my situation, I don't mind having both. But if I'm given, if I have a choice between two people, you see, to get anywhere in anyone's career, you need a mix of two things. Apart from your competency, there's a part on attitude. So, when I said I would consider myself an introvert, it's because a lot of times I like to be alone. I feel I get more energy when I'm alone, away from people. But most people seeing me will think I'm an extrovert, but I'm just an introvert who knows how to be an extrovert. And I think the way my career path also ran had given me opportunity to be such that I would say I'm dynamic in between both situations. I know when I need to be introvert. I know when I need my space. And I'll just stay away from the world. And that's where I draw my energy from. So given who is best to work with, I would say someone who is a lot intelligent in managing both situations.
Okay, so GB raised his hand. So can we just have GB before you just continue, our facilitator?
Yeah, the lady, I'm sorry, I didn't get her name. The lady that just spoke kind of summarized what I was going to say.
My name is Esther.
Okay,
yes,
hi,
Esther.
Esther.
Yes.
My apologies. Yeah, so so you kind of summed up what I was going to say regarding who to work with better. Now, Larry asked a question before Esther spoke that can an introvert be a people person? And I would cite myself as an example. So when I was a kid, I used to stammer real bad. Like I was a very bad stutterer. And being the last child of my mom, you know, my siblings were much, much older. So growing up, I was always by myself, right? And it just kind of made me like always by myself. I learned to play games myself and entertain myself and keep myself company. Now, over the years, working, all my roles have been client facing, right? And I've noticed that corporate environment is not always very fair to introverts. So if you're an introvert, automatically you're deemed as not visible. As my previous place of work, we had some expectations, and one of the expectations is restless and agile. So if you're a restless and agile employee, you are recognized and given awards. So you can imagine you that you're always by yourself, having to now pretend to be restless and agile. You know, like it stresses me out. You know, but I've learned, like I've learned to be an extrovert. I've learned to pretend. However, personally, by myself, I would rather like just withdraw and be in my own shell. Yeah. So usually, in summary, I think one needs to strike a balance, because in today's world, it's very, very unfair to introverts. And so as an introvert, you need to learn to exhibit extroverted traits. And also, extroverts should learn to understand that there's certain people who get stressed out or who don't enjoy extroverted activities. So that's just my submission, basically.
Thank you, GB. Thank you to everyone that has spoken. GB, you've gotten me in a very reflective state because, guys, I'm more of the discussions. Trust me, the book is, I hope you guys are fine with it. But GB, you raised a very pertinent subject that it stresses you out to be an extrovert. Do we want you to be stressed out as an employee, as an organization? Is it because in this book, one of the points that the author raises to bring out genius of opposites is the fact that we should cast the character and allow everybody to fit in their best place. Okay, I was getting some feedback. So if shouldn't we be as managers, should we be putting, because he made a statement that organizations are unfair to introverts. Do we want introverts to feel like they are at a disadvantage, they can't get the awards, they can't rise through the ranks just because they are quiet people? I don't know, it just got me thinking. But like you rightly said, the good thing is to strike the balance, knowing the organization where you are. But if it's stressful for you, I don't know. That's I don't know. I don't know if anybody.
I think low chat explains how we can reach a how do I put it now? A non-judgmental position.
Absolutely.
And take people for who they are. So I'll let you take this. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Chapter 2,
Esther,
the next one.
Sorry, before we take that, I just want to.
Okay, pardon. You raised your hand. True. Yeah. Pardon that. Yeah.
So I just want to make a quick comment about what GB said just now. Like, for we that live in other part of the world, and as a minority in the workplace, if you're not very visible, it tends to be a challenge and it could be very stressful for you. And I can allude to what he just said right now. The organization I work for, if you're not visible, you can't really get ahead, because nobody's going to know you. If you don't speak up, if nobody knows what you're doing, you're very good at what you do, but you're an introvert. At meetings, you don't talk. Maybe at seminars, you only talk once in a while. So there is no way for you to be out there. And then whereas we have some people that are really extrovert and then they talk all the time at meetings, and sometimes those people, they're actually empty. Sometimes what they are saying doesn't really make sense. So GB and I work together, and then I manage GB, so I gave him a lot of feedback that even though we are minorities here, we need to be able to adapt in one way. For example, you can be an introvert, but because of the environment that you find yourself, you tend to be an extrovert as well. Like for me, when I was living in Africa, I was an extrovert. Like I like to do things, be like the life of the party and all that. But when I moved here, the environment changed me a little bit. But along the line, because I've lived here for a little bit now, maybe about 8 or 9 years, and I've learned to understand both. That for me to be able to get ahead, for me to be able to get what I want in life, for me to be able to advance, it doesn't stress me anymore. Now I know how to play the game. Playing the game is not the right word to use, but I can talk when I needed to talk. I know when to keep quiet as well. So, like, I had my one-to-one with my director 3 days ago, and he said, "Okay, when I met you, you're very quiet, but you're very curious. That's one thing I like about you. But now you have changed over the years that I've known you. Now you talk more at meetings, and then your input are well respected as well." So sometimes because someone is an introvert doesn't mean they can't contribute. But it's just unfortunate that the environment or the culture, wherever we find ourselves now, recognizes loud than quiet. So that's just my take on all this. Thank you.
So thank you. What I hear is adapt or die.
Exactly.
For the introverts in the house, I mean, it's the reality of the situation. It's the reality of the world that we live in. We have to adapt. So according to Dr. Jennifer, you have to accept the alien. You can't change your opposite, the next person you're working, but you can understand them. Bring on the battle means see disagreements as necessary to arrive at better outcomes. Casting the character is know each other's role in a scenario and cast him or her in it to bring out the best in that role. When you destroy its life, you respect each other and you act as friends, you talk openly and you can have fun. But remember, each cannot offer everything. Know that each of you cannot by yourself offer everything. And for that true diversity, you must work together in concert to bring extraordinary results. Okay, so we move into chapter 3, where she begins to explain the concepts, or the process, the genius concept process, one after the other. In my head, I tagged the acronym as ABCDE. So this is A, accepting the alien. Some of the quotes that struck me in the book, I brought them out here. So for accept the alien, she says you can't change your opposite, but you can understand them. Once you are able to accept this fact, you are in you are in for much less stress, right? So it's just like in a marriage. We hear the popular saying, you don't go into a marriage hoping to change the next person. I really don't think you can change anybody. I think people learn to adapt and decide to change or get better by themselves. But why does it matter? Why is it important that we accept the alien? You have to accept that, first of all, the key thing there is communication, right? And according to the author, she said communication is such a loaded word. In the dictionary, just tell you it's exchange of meaning between two people. But we all know that exchange carries a lot of misunderstanding, friction, annoyance. I've been in a session where we're like 50 sitting down in a room, and the facilitator whispered something into the ear of the first person and said something. I said, okay, keep whispering until you get to the last person. I don't know if any of you have been in that kind of session before. Believe you me, by the time the last person said what it was, in fact, it had no bearing whatsoever with the first comment that the facilitator whispered into the ear of the first person. So it's important that we communicate well, we understand each other, but we should also bear in mind that when introvert and extrovert relationships are rocky, it may be as a result of a breakdown in exchange. Now, and if we don't work on it and we don't find a way to better communicate with the introverts in your team, the extroverts in your team, imagine if you're an introvert manager and you have people that are extroverts on your team, and you don't voice out your expectation. There is no clear direction. There is no clear communication of tasks, of roles, of duties. It's just pure chaos. And if we don't work on that communication, we cannot get to the level of acceptance, because acceptance is the only way you can build empathy. When we walk through our opposites, we can now have great opportunities to appreciate each other, even though we don't fully understand. I'm an extrovert. I can't say truly that I truly understand the way an introvert processes things into his head. But if I continue to put myself out there and understand and better communicate and ask questions, ask for clarification, ask for feedback, there's some kind of empathy. And then we get to the point where that partnership becomes stronger. Because through the process of working together, opposites can become stronger over time. And when they, of course, inevitably, there will be problems, there will be successes, there will be failure. And if both of you can work through these things together, you will grow as a team and you will grow as a partnership, not just individually. However, there are red flags to look out for, right? We need to understand that what comes across to you as a strength as an introvert may be a weakness for an extrovert. One thing that I find most introverts don't, they say, oh, extroverts don't process things, extroverts don't think through things. They just. But this is the way these people are wired, right? It's your. So if you find yourself in a position where you guys are designing processes, you're designing and you're an introvert, you're more into processes, you're more into thinking through solutions, it's important.
Okay, we can't hear you anymore. Ogo Chukwu. Ogo.
To shut down.
Okay.
They don't.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. We have you back now.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, so sorry.
We can.
So sorry. I didn't realize that I had.
You weren't gone for so long.
Okay. So we're pointing out the red flags to look out for in an introvert-extrovert relationship. First of all, understand that your own strength may be their own weakness. They may have adapted to suit your needs, but also consider that it may be stressful for them. When communication also breaks down, you notice that the introverts in your team, they've shut down. Like Mrs. Esther said, it's hard to understand what is going through their head. An extrovert may be talking more. He may not be talking more out of, oh, I like to talk more. He might just be stressed out, and that's the only way he knows how to vent his frustration. And the last point says that outside stress can take a toll. This reminds me of the scenario that Daniel shared with us, that the lady called Mabel, if I remember correctly, that when she's not getting the positive energy and all that energy from the external people around her, it affects her own performance. So these are things as managers, as team members, we need to look out for in our team, in members of our team. So the best way to look at this thing and how you can bring back that harmony is keep on being focused on your results, learn about other people's personality style, try to speak their language, accept the fact that you cannot change them. Removing the elephant in the room speaks to have conversations with them. Understand, don't be quiet about it. If your manager is an introvert or an extrovert, have the conversation and say, this is my personality style. These kind of situations, I find them quite stressful. Would you rather we work this way so that we can best manage this relationship? And if you're lucky and you're fortunate, you're in an organization that encourages an open and honest conversation, you might just have, this might work for you. She advises that people should create a shorthand for communicating. I don't know if that applies here, but she also advises that we give it time. Don't expect the person to change overnight or the relationship to go from 0 to 100 overnight. And then always respect this person's wiring. Respect that this person needs time to think. Respect that this person needs time to process this assignment that you have given. this person needs time to this person does not want to share family stuff. Extroverts are like an open book. They tell you about their child, their grandmother. You know everybody in their family. The extroverts in the office, you know their auntie, their uncle. You know everything about them. But the introverts rather not just talk about their family. And people are wondering, we need to respect the wiring and keep it as it is. So this is the QA for, I don't know if I'm doing well for time. Have you accepted that you cannot change your opposite? How would this belief help you working with them? Is there any extrovert in the house that can quickly answer this question?
Okay, so maybe while someone is trying to, get an answer to your question. So there's something that Olufei-Kemi Rachel puts in the chat. Yes, in the chat section. Said, I think extroverts work more with people while introverts work more with process. I think it's also, it's kind of re-echoes what you said earlier. So we must fit the peg to the whole
right
type.
Whole, right.
So, yes,
right.
Hence, I guess introverts should hold part of the team's job that entails details, while extroverts holds the part that involves getting people to deliver. And after a while, I hope I'm reading it correctly, a while on a team of introverts and extroverts, then we notice the shift. Is it a question, or it sounds more like an input? And because I see my question. Do you want to speak, Faye? Then before Faye speaks up, Oyelere adds, further to his earlier question, says, who presents better? Who does a good job when it comes to winning people over? Introverts or extroverts? So who seems to have more energy? Does energy affect the delivery of presentation? And I think, okay, I think this is Faye's question. The other one was a comment. She's asking, can we use tolerance level of people to determine if they're extroverts or introverts? I like the engagement in the room. So over to you, our lead facilitator for today. How do you want all of this to pan out? Do you want the room to engage? Over to you. And Daniel, over to both of you.
Okay, so good point from Olufei-Kemi Rachel, but we don't know if she's going to clarify if this is just her own input, or probably there's a question she wants to bring out from this. So Faye-Kemi, are you there?
While we wait for her, Ogochukwu, over to you. Okay, go on.
Hello?
Go on, please.
Yes, Femi.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hey, Kemi, we can hear you.
Hello, go ahead, we can hear you.
I believe you can hear us.
Hello?
Maybe we just can't hear you. Maybe you want to type just to clarify, then we can go on so we can do better on timing.
Okay, while we're trying to sort out with Faye Kemi, so to Oyelere's question, right? I think it depends on the audience. So he's asking who is a better presenter. Are there people that bring more energy to the room and stuff like that? I think it depends on your audience, right?
Hello.
Now,
hello.
Hi, Faye Kemi. Okay. Can you still hear me though?
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello.
Olufei-Kemi, we can hear you. Go ahead.
It seems I'm having difficulty. Hear me?
Yeah, we
Hello?
can hear you now, but if you can, probably you can just put it in the chat box. But for now, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so which do you prefer?
Okay. That was I would like my to be at. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I saw what I wrote about
after a while, the introverts and the extroverts, we see a shift in their behavior, and that's when people come up and say, I'm 70% extrovert and 30% introvert now. I was just putting in comments there. My question, which I like to be addressed, is, can we use tolerance limit of people, level of people to determine if they're extroverts or introverts? So I'd like the facilitator to address that.
Sorry, Feyikemi, your line was not clear. I didn't get the full question. Please, can you take it again? Okay. Daniel, did you get the question? Did anyone get the question?
No,
Yes.
Can we use the tolerance level of people at work to determine if they are extroverts or introverts?
Okay. I think there's something I heard, which is about the tolerance level. She typed that question earlier, so I think she's just highlighting that this is a question, and she's saying tolerance level. So there's a limit to what everyone can take. So maybe an extrovert will be someone who would go off. The fuse would just blow off at an instant, while an introvert would they have some more do I call it pain threshold now is higher than in extroverted cases. Does that speak your mind, Faye? So she's trying to check. I think tolerance level can be used to gauge people's, differentiate between extroverts and introverts.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Can I ask you?
Possibly,
question?
I would say, okay, architect, please go on.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Just to attempt the question. I think tolerance level is primarily hinged on maturity and ability to control one's emotion. Either you are introvert or you're extrovert, the ball can get blown in you, and you can still control yourself and not get blown out in the midst of or in the face of slight provocation or even major ones. So I don't actually think it's either has to do with being introvert or extrovert. It has more to do with the strength of your character, with the ability to control your emotion and what you have mastered over time in terms of your personality control. So that could be anybody. I mean, I've seen some extreme extrovert guys that there's nothing you want to do that could get them angry. In fact, some of them that I have as friends, they don't even see anything that you're doing as being wrong. If you insult them now, next seconds they're already placing their foot before you. I've seen some introvert guys so that no matter what you do, you can't get pleased. So it's not actually that. Of course, you could have some. You could do some table and think it might have something to do with your personality, but I think it's more of maturity and ability to control the strength within. That's on one side. I also have a thought to share. For me, I think about being an extrovert or introvert. One also needs to evaluate what field you're operating or what discipline you're operating in or at. Like for me, I'm an architect. From our year 2 in college, we've been presenting to our lecturers, and I did that for like 6 years. And in fact, I discovered after school that it is not enough that you have done work. It's enough. It's much more enough that the person you had worked for sees the thoughts and the person that gone into the work. So a lot of time, our work is like 15% design and concept, and it's 5% salesmanship. So I can tell you that in fact, I remember my final project. When I was done talking, the professor was asking me, Emmanuel, everything you have said in this your project, I'm trying to look for it. Of course, for me, I talk what I want to talk into the project because I need to score the mark. So eventually, we all laughed, and I got good grade, and all of us walking away. So invariably, if you're a sales person, you can't say I'm introvert. I mean, your figures will not be right. No matter how smart you are, how intelligent you are, your figures can never be right. If you say I'm a salesman but I'm introvert, you cannot connect. You cannot. I mean, I've seen a lot of time that even someone, we have a lot of spontaneous buyers around us. I mean, you be in traffic, you just say, "Gala, how much?" The guy's already putting in before you. He's already giving you how many. You're only asking for the price. So if you cannot be proactive enough, so people are indifferent, but you make them to buy. You're already saying, "Okay, I'll buy 3. I'll give you two extra. If you buy 4, I'll give you a car." if you buy 10, you sign a chance of winning a plane. The plane that you never give. So it's about, I mean, packaging. One of the company I consult for, we sell homes, we sell houses. I've seen people come that are indifferent about buying homes. But by the time they come, by the time we, all three of us that are the team lead, package them very well, show them around one of the units. They are willing to drop their first check. And some of them really, they came indifferent. They have checked several estates. But now they come to us, they are here. We knew that this person could buy, but he's not ready to buy. But by the time he's done, I mean, the three of us, a designer, engineer, you just, I mean, talk them in, let them see what they are not seeing. Let them see that even this home is one of the best you can see in Nigeria. It's like compared to New York or compared to Paris. I mean, yes, it's true, but it's not necessarily true as it were. So it's about also being able to talk your talk. So I would say, which one is better, depending on your profession, depending on where you're operating. But either way, being able to show traits of both. When it matters, keep quiet. When you need to be vocal and outspoken and display what you have done, please go ahead and do that. I think the balance of it will pay off eventually. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you, Architect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think he also sort of talks to Larry's question. So it depends on your audience, right? So who brings more energy into the room? Who makes better presentations? I think it depends on who you are addressing. Who is your client at that point in time? Is he your manager? Is he your client at that point? Is he a sales team that you're talking to and you're bringing in low energy? You're launching a new brand. You're bringing it to the sales team, and you're not bringing in the energy, right? So your audience is very, very important, and that determines the energy that you bring into the room. If you're talking to, now I used to be in FMCG, and now I'm in payments and all that. The client facing, when you're talking to banks, when you're talking to financial, you want to know where's the money. You know, you have to be process and value driven. You know. So it depends on the person that you're talking to. What is value to your audience? And once you can bring that value and pass on that value, you have succeeded, in my opinion. So because there's so much engagement and all that, I'd like to just run through the remaining 3 chapters. And talking about the next chapter, she talks about bringing on the battles, and this talks about conflict. According to the author, she says that it's important that we see disagreements as necessary to arrive at better outcomes, because we challenge each other and come up with better solutions together than alone. See, conflict is good. I used to be a very no controversy person, but over time, I've realized that conflict is good. Not conflict where you're throwing issues and casting aspersions on each other, but conflict that brings out results, conflict that explore the issue, that raises different point of views to arrive at a good conclusion. Is best for the organization. You reach a better solution. Disagreements can throw you into paths that you did not possibly think was possible, and there will be your answer. There can be the solution that you're looking for. Now, what are the red? Even though you're bringing it on, and it's okay to have conflicts, but there are red flags to look out for. Don't think that one partner is more important. Don't hide your concerns. And it's important that even while you are bringing on your battles, you don't lose sight of the shared vision. Always go back to the vision. What do you guys, what is it that we want them to achieve? Remember your energy differences. Tell your partner what exactly you need. Work together to manage the crisis. You can also bring in a third party to strike an, if you're going through an impasse, bring a third party to look at things objectively and settle it between you guys. The last point that the author offers here is to walk and talk. So you can go outside your work environment and sit down in a less stressful condition and discuss what it is that you guys are not seeing eye to eye on. But it's important to also bring back the battles. I think I should quickly run this, then we'll start discussing. The next process in the model is to cast the character. Now, know each person's role in a scenario and cast them so that you bring out the opposite. Opposites should share the credit no matter what role they take. Now, I think we've talked about it in one way or the other. Now, if you're in a team, just like Larry has been mentioning, who is the best person to present? Who is the best person to make an MD? Who is the best person to make this pitch to a financial client? Who is the best person that fits that, whose personality, whose strengths, whose educational background, or who has the competencies to meet the specific need that you want to, that will deliver the result. So cast the person as that character, let the person take up that role. So like the example that we mentioned, if you're going to a sales team, sales conference, for instance, and you're supposed to excite people and make them excited about the product, and you bring an introvert that will be holding the mic, you're not casting the right character, right? So have the right person that know that, oh, this is your own turf, and allow the person to work their magic in their own turf. However, there's also a caveat here, that you're an introvert or does not mean that you should let opportunities pass you by, like GB and Bishop K mentioned. You know, you might need to step outside your comfort zone once in a while, and sometimes unexpected positive outcomes come out of it. While it's good to play your natural role, it's important to step out of your own natural role, and you might see amazing results from there. However, these are red flags to look out for. Do you think that this is unfair or unclear? The role that you're being asked to take upon, you need to be sure what the expectation is. Also, in a situation where one person takes all the credit, that's not right. Don't also be trapped in the other person's rigid expectations. Okay, I'm getting some feedback. Okay. So don't be trapped in the other person's rigid expectations. Hi, Faye, Kemi. Okay, thank you. So what ways can we make it better for in casting the character? Be an advocate for your opposite. If you're a manager and you have people that are introverts, extroverts on your team, make a case for them, give them opportunities where you can push them a little bit outside their comfort zone, and be an advocate for them. Break out of your role, expected role occasionally, match your tasks to your type. And also, if you're in a contract with people, you're going into a business with somebody, it may be important to get a contract, get it in writing, so that you don't have surprises down the line. The model of destroying the dislike, why is it important? You have to, so the most important thing here is that you respect each other and act as friends so that you can talk openly and have fun. You cannot say, oh, this person is an introvert, I don't like introverts on my team, or extroverts on my team, I don't like. No, there's no, you can't cast a person in a person's character and say, oh, I don't like this person. When you destroy that dislike or bias, as I would like to call it, you get more results, you expand your world, your perspective to life and to things kind of broadens, and you begin to see things in different ways. You also have relationships that change and get results. But there are also red flags to look out for in destroying the dislikes and in building that respect for each other. When one party tries to shut down communication, that's a red flag. It's also important that you don't force this friendship. Most times in workplaces, people think because you come to work or you sit next to a person, both of you need to be life bosom friends. That may not necessarily be the case, right? There's no need to force a friendship. And do not also focus on the minors and forget the goal. What you can do to help this situation is keep your vision front and center. Be open to short-term friendships. I think this is one thing that I'm learning as you grow older. Because when you're much younger, the friends that you have in primary school are your friends all the way to secondary school, all the way into university. But then you come into the place and you're like, people are not loyal. But you get to realize that life is a journey. At some point during the journey, people need to drop off. You're not going to the same destination with different people. So it's okay to be open to short-term friendships. I think we have a question we can discuss a little bit. For an introvert, how do you balance the need for privacy and openness? Just a quick comment.
Sorry,
maybe
sorry to
go
cut you.
ahead,
So before we go into that, I guess Ogunwi asked the question.
Okay.
Yeah, introverts listen better than extroverts. Is that a myth? So that's a question from Ogunwi.
Is that a myth? In my opinion,
I also did. Go on, please.
In my opinion, I don't think it's a myth. The introverts are is it a myth? What the introverts I've met are quite good listeners, to be honest. But what I would say is a myth is that all introverts are good listeners. I think that's a universal statement, and that may not be correct. But I think introverts make good listeners. That's from my own experience.
Please kindly mute your microphone. You would help us a great deal on this side. All right, thank you. Yes, speaking to that, whether it's a myth or not, I think it's not a myth. I think it comes with the territory, because they're introverts, so they're generally, calm. They have this kind of composed demeanor. They are, but an extrovert is jumpy and all over seemingly not jumpy all over the place, but then they want to complete your sentences for you. And that's not one of the attributes of a great listener. So I think it's just a reality. It's a truth. So Shakira, please, you have 2 minutes or less than before then we jump on Ogochukwu's Q&A.
Oh, hi everyone. This is Shakira. So I've been listening, great discussion. So I just have a couple of things to add to what is being said, and I absolutely agree with the architect. So I am an extrovert. So for a while,
we can hear it from your voice. Your voice is the voice of an extrovert. We can hear it. Welcome, Shakira.
Out already.
Okay, so there was a time I had to work as a data analyst, and I felt very miserable at the job because I just had to do my coding, try to bring out, solve issues, just coding, me and the computer, basically. Few times you have meetings and here and there. So for a while, I just felt like, oh my goodness, it was like I was suffering because I wanted to talk. I wanted to interact with people. It was like something was going wrong. So I had to move to the business side of things, to be a business analyst. So, and for that, I enjoy it because it involves, questioning people, meeting with stakeholders, talking, interacting with people, being me. And regarding the myth or no myth, and for one thing I realized again is that I said I'm an extrovert, but funny enough, I don't like public speaking. I can speak in small groups, but I don't like public speaking. So you see, people are very, they find it hard to believe because they're like, oh, you're out there, you mix easily, you talk to people easily. Why would it be difficult for you to talk in public? So that's why I want to say that there are some introverts that are happy, talking to public. They don't have any issue, speaking in public. And there are some extroverts that have issues. So I think in a way, it depends on individuals as well. We can't just box everyone as, oh, introvert, this is what they do, extrovert, this is what they do. And also regarding the myth about, introverts being good listeners, in a way I agree, because sometimes I realize, I have something I want to say, you're already saying something, I'm like, oh, I need to jump in before I forget what I'm about to say. But I'm learning to probably write it down, to listen to what you've got to say. And, when it's time for me to talk, then I talk about it instead of, just being, because you're excited, you want to get in there. And regarding the marketing and sales, working together as a team as well, I feel everybody complements each other, be introvert, being extrovert. The lady spoke about, maybe an introvert being in, when you have a new product out there, getting an introvert to talk about it. You'll be surprised that sometimes the introvert will do a better job than the extrovert, because the extrovert gets carried away and probably goes into something else. But, the introvert is probably more focused. I just wanted to talk about this and let people buy it and let me go home, And so that's my opinion. So I think it's a give and take. Everything. No, it's not. I think it still has a lot to do with individuals as well. Each person, different personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Shakira. Thank you so much.
And interestingly, she got me thinking. A lot of times in organization, we force people out just because they're not delivering on a particular role. So that point leads us to the point of, are we putting the right peg in the right role? And given the level of, say, unemployment, or, whether it is in Nigeria or you're anywhere in the world, there are times you get into a new climb and all you just want to do is get a job. Just get something doing, regardless of whether it fits or matches your personality or not. And then we get frustrated. And this happens a lot. Leaders in the organization have been in situation a lot of times where we have to take decision on people just because we see they're not delivering on the job. It's difficult. They can't even force themselves to deliver on the job. Let's say a job that requires you to be, extroverted now. And you're naturally an introvert, a sales guy that needs to go out, that needs to convince people to buy the products or services, and it's an introvert. And yet the numbers are not met, the quota are not, and this person is not dynamic enough. You see why I mentioned earlier about being able to, being dynamic, being able to switch and adapt, in between being introvert or extrovert and all of that. So I'm just thinking, as leaders in organization or would-be leaders, how do we help the team? How also can we walk up to our leader and say, you know what, I like what Shakira did. I don't know how she did it. She didn't share with us how she was able to make the switch from the data analyst to business analyst, where the role now complements her strength. So I think it's actually food for thought. That's what I meant by it got me thinking.
Absolutely, really food for thought, because in our climate, because of the high level of unemployment, people tend to just go with just about, I'm just looking for a job. Let me just do anything. And this is the role, I have this degree. So sometimes it's something we really need to think about, honestly. And as business leaders or would-be leaders, can we think about role rotation? Can we change? I know that I've been in other places. I've been fortunate to work in some places where people were struggling in a particular role, and the business recognized that it's not a competency, it's just a personality, and they were able to move around that. I've been privileged to be in such organizations. So thank you, Shakira. Because I know we are running for time, I'll just run through chapter 7 and chapter 8, and then my last comments. So chapter 7 talks about each not being able to offer everything. Know that each of you is incapable of offering everything. And for true diversity to work, you have to work in concert to provide the widest range of options to others. Now, for me, what this chapter speaks to is, imagine a concert, right? There's the guitarist, there's the bass band, there's the piano person, there's everybody, there's the lights, there's the stage. Imagine those beautiful concerts that you've ever been to. Everybody is playing their own part to bring out that beautiful harmony. Even the lights have to move in a certain way and turn in a certain color and bring out the effects and all of that. So that is the way that if the light was just there and there was no performer singing, or the performer is singing, there's no backup band or no backup singer,
it will be an absolute mess. Because this is important because the client, the audience sees a seamless flow. You know, you give clients a choice of personality. Imagine an introvert and an extrovert presenting to a client. The introvert is bringing his process, his clear thinking, precision, analysis to the core, you know, to the fore. And then the extrovert is bringing his high energy, you know. So it's a symphony, a concert. So we need to understand that each of us as individuals cannot, and this also speaks to team building. You know, you cannot work in silos. You cannot offer everything. One thing to look out for is be sure that there's no one style that dominates the partnerships. Don't ignore your preferences. Both of you should try to work together as teams. We should always try to prepare together, and it's important that we get all the necessary buy-in. Use the introvert extrovert preferences to win businesses, especially if you're a client-facing business. Model your client openness by using your own differences. Gather information about what is working well and not, and strengthen your pair's performance. This is the last chapter where she talks about keeping your eyes on the results. And the quote she has here is it's instructive, and like I said, it's something that I've been learning in the past few months. We have such different ways of seeing the world, and believe you me, every single view is magnificent. There's no one way to view the world. My way is not necessarily it may not really be the better way, really. If we can step out of our shoes and wear the other person's shoes, you can find out that it's different and it's beautiful. Like we say, the grass is always green, but it depends on your line of sight, right? Where you standing, where you're looking at it from. So getting to that place of seamless and perfect synergy in your team, it doesn't just happen by wanting it. You have to create that extraordinary result with your opposite by working on it, sharing the joys of outcome, keeping your relationship vital and active. It's not just coasting. I know in Nigeria, a lot of times we just have a coasting relationship with our managers. I've been blessed in my previous place. I've been blessed to have a fantastic manager, and now being in coasting relationships are so difficult. You know, if you have that opportunity, you know that it's not good to coast along. Keep your eyes on the results, and stop focusing on your differences. Look at your common goal. You have an excellent chance of creating extraordinary results. Move from inspiration to action. So everything we've talked about today, adapt or die, move out of your comfort zone, step into the other person's view of life, move away from inspiration and move to action. So these are my personal comments about the book. I found it interesting to read. It was easy to read. She made a comment earlier in the book. She said she wrote the book in an easy way because she had read lots of books and she started them and she didn't finish them. So she broke down the book in very easy parts so that it was easy to read. I found that was true. I found that it was quite instructive for self-awareness, which is somewhat odd because the book talks about opposites. But personally, it got me reflecting a lot about myself because I feel like the more self-aware you are, the better manager, the better person, the better you can empathize, the better emotional intelligence you can actually have, to be honest. I think it's beneficial for high-performing teams. The only pro I sense is that I think the lady or the author is too much of an introvert. And she yes, I felt that she wrote from an introvert perspective.
And even protecting them. Like,
yeah,
this is how to deal with us. This is how to take care of us.
Exactly. She was like carrying them in fragile glass, like, oh, introverts need to be petted and all that. So I felt there was a bit of that balance was not there. But those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Well done. Please let's acknowledge her. Daniel, over to you.
Okay, yeah, so it's a beautiful and engaging section, I must say. And I want to commend your oratorical prowess. You spoke well, spoke eloquently, And I'm sure as a business development manager, you must have been using this skill, this prowess of yours in order to be squashing targets. So I want to believe that want Terry to keep that up. So, but before we just round it up, I'm still going to hand over to Madam Ifeobafemi. So probably we know we are far behind time. So probably we still have one or two persons just in case you have a wrap up for us, probably your comments before I hand over to Madam Ifeobafemi. So one or two persons.
Is your madam, eh? Just call me Ife. Just call me Esther. Choose any, please. Thank you.
All right. So do we have anybody? Okay. So if we don't have any for now, so there was a comment from GB. It was quite instructive. So he made mention of the fact that regardless of our personality traits, whether we are introverts or extroverts, so we need to cultivate the habit of speaking up wherever we need to do that. You know, the fact that you are an introvert or extrovert doesn't mean you shouldn't have contributions to make. And probably in our gatherings, it could be in our places of work, because they believe that is how you have something to bring to the table. If you are able to communicate and to share inputs amongst gatherings of people. So, and and at the same time, we must be conscious of the fact that in a bid to always want to contribute, we shouldn't just open our mouths to say something that won't be of value. And how does that come? So it is by engaging ourselves in learning and reading as we are doing here. So I believe learning doesn't have to come from the four walls of a classroom. So amongst professionals as we are, so there are some things I've penned down here, some learnings I've been able to elicit from this gathering. So which could be useful for me whenever I'm somewhere else. It might not be in the immediate, it might be some years, or but all those things that I've exposed myself, all those learnings that I've come to get, so would definitely be useful sometimes in the future. So I would as well encourage every one of us to keep learning and keep growing as well. So I'm still going to say, Madam Ifeobafemi, over to you, ma.
So thank you so much. Okay, I think I've gotten rid of the feedback I'm getting from that place. So well done, Ogochukwu. It's Daniel says it. I mean, he has said it all. You are absolutely wonderful. You delivered, and the session has been highly engaging, and I like the interaction. I like the fact that we also got practical, and then we use relatable examples. So well done, and thank you for leading this today. Also, Daniel, thank you. You have done the wrap up already. If you asked me, what is important for us is that we take in all this learning and find application in a relationship with others, in managing our team, also in relating with our peers. And what if you have an introvert as a boss? That's another consideration. What if, and you're an extrovert, and then this introverted boss feels like you're all over the place, or you think the person feels so. So what do? So these are things that we should get thinking about. And I like that there's a process flow on how to manage all of this. But most importantly, we keep our eyes on the result. Even if you're an extrovert and your boss is introvert, and you're always excited to talk about your work, and then this person is just looking at you, and then which happens. I've been in that situation before, and I'm wondering, I'm like, does he like what I'm saying, or does she like what I'm saying? Am I making sense to this individual? But what is important is I'm delivering the result, and that's what should be on top of the mind. Make sure that you're delivering the result, and you'll be so surprised when this introvert, either it's your boss or some other parallel people you report to, maybe with some dotted line, when they get to the computer and type feedback about you, you will marvel, and you'll be like, really? This is interesting to know, because what they think about, just be yourself in it all. Just be yourself and deliver the numbers. So On that note, we pull the curtain on today's session, except there are questions. I have the chat group in the comment section. Yes, so in case you want to join and follow up on conversations and join other conversation, or even stay further conversation, please feel free to join the group. Do have a great rest of the weekend, everybody, and see you again in 3 or 4 weeks. Our next presenter will be Dominic Uwagbarocha. I hope I sounded that well. So he will be leading us, and the next book, and that book is, I think it skips me. Dominic, what's the book? Announce to the group, then we share the PDF. I think we've shared it before, so but we can share it again for people who are going to join today.
Yeah.
Dominic, what book is that? What business and leadership book are we reading? The Leader
Habits.
Yes, The Leader Habit. And today Ismail is going to be our moderator. Yay! So she's going to moderate that conversation. So thank you so much, everybody, and do have a great rest of the weekend. Feel free to buzz me, to reach me for questions, input, conversation. I'm that open. Even though I'm introvert, who believes that? All right, do take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.